Hello and welcome to AFRICUNIA Television News Updates, reaching you from our studio here in Lagos, Nigeria, the nation's commercial capital. I am Deborah Ezeh, and looking into the African scene today in Madagascar, the death toll from Cyclone Batsirai in Madagascar has risen to 80 according to authorities on Wednesday. The figures could rise further as some villages in the worst affected areas remain cut off. The National Disaster Risk Management Office, which compiles reports from the worst affected areas, including the eastern coast of the Indian Ocean island, announced the new death toll in the afternoon. And in Uganda, the International Court of Justice on Wednesday set at $325 million the amount of reparation that Kampala must pay to Kinshasa for the invasion by Uganda of the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo during the 1998 to 2003 war. The DRC claimed more than $11 billion, an amount described by Uganda as exorbitant. The ICJ, the UN's highest court, found that Uganda should pay the DRC $225 million for loss of life, $40 million for damage to properties, and $60 million for damage to natural resources, ICJ presiding judge Joan Denogwero said. And more updates from the African scene. The new Chief of Staff of the Bukinable Army, Colonel Major David Cabrae, has promised to make the fight against terrorism in the West Africa a top priority. Colonel Major David, who was appointed last week, said, and I quote, "I would like to appeal to all the components of our national armed forces to make a new commitment with me to give me a new breath to fight against terrorism in our country." End of quote. He acknowledged the fact that his assumption of command comes in a security context marked by the resurgence of terrorist attacks in several parts of the territory. He stressed, saying he had no other option than success in restoring the integrity of the territory, the top priority of the Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces. And now in Nigeria, local airlines yesterday raised the alarm over a massive spike in the price of aviation fuel, currently selling at 400 naira per litre in some airports nationwide across the country. The operators said the unbearable spike has made efficient air transport and affordable airfares unsustainable without either government intervention or upward review in the ticket prices. If this trend continues, air travelers may have to pay more on the already expensive air tickets regime in the country. And still in Nigeria, federal and state universities chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU have insisted that they will mobilize their members for a nationwide industrial action to protest federal government's failure to honor agreements reached since 2009. In a statement issued by the chairman and secretary of ASUU, Dr. Siri Ozegbe and William Odion, the union insisted that government's offensive and negative disposition to public universities in the country was unacceptable and should no longer be tolerated. And now on to the foreign scene. South Korea said on Thursday patients with mild coronavirus symptoms will have to treat themselves, aiming to free up medical resources for more serious cases as new infections hit a fresh high because of the fast-spreading Omicron variant. South Korea has largely been a COVID-19 mitigation success story thanks to aggressive testing and tracing, social distancing, and mask wearing. But as the early infections but less deadly Omicron variants began spreading, the government this month started to shift its strategy away from testing and tracing and towards self-monitoring, diagnosis at home, treatment. And still on the foreign scene, New Zealand police on Thursday arrested more than 50 people and began forcefully removing hundreds of protesters camped outside its parliament building for the last 3 days to protest COVID-19 vaccine mandates and tough coronavirus restrictions. New Zealand has reported just over 18,000 confirmed cases and 53 deaths since the pandemic began. About 94% of eligible people are vaccinated, with shots mandatory for some staffs in frontline jobs. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern on Thursday told the protesters to move on, saying the protests are not a reflection of what the majority in the country feels. And now on to the sports scene. Antonio Conte says the mental instability within his Tottenham squad was to blame for their 3-2 defeat to Southampton. The Saints scored twice in 2 minutes late on to turn a 2-1 deficit into a 3-2 victory as Mohamed and Che Adams headed home James Ward crosses. The result damages Tottenham's top 4 prospects Even a draw would have been enough to take Conte's side above 6th placed Arsenal, but instead they are left with ground to make up. And finally, Andy Murray marked his return to the top 100 for the first time since 2018 with a 7-6, 8-6 and 6-4 win over Kazakhstan Alexander Bublik at the Rotterdam tournament on Wednesday. Former world number 1 and 3-time major winner Murray had too much court gale for world number 31 Bublik, who won his maiden ATP title in Montpellier at the weekend. Now that's all we can take on news update today. Do ensure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and leave a comment for us on the comment section. Follow all our social media platforms on Jointim, Pangram, Instagram and Facebook respectively. Once again, I'm Deborah Ezeh. Bye for now.